I'm GREYMOND. I'm an expert in OCD recovery because for the last 19 years, I've been helping people fully recover from OCD. If you would like to do personal coaching with me, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. You can sign up from there. Let's talk about correct way to do ERP for pure O. So if you have, let's say, what kind of pure O for an example? Let's say harm OCD. And you don't have physical compulsions, but you're ruminating a lot, or false memory OCD, or relationship OCD, whatever. Let's pick these three. So you get a thought that comes in, right? That thought, feeling, image, sensation feels very real. And now you are at a crossroads. So that thought coming in, right? The automatic thought that came in, thought, feeling, image, sensation, is the exposure. So that's E in the ERP. So exposure, done, check. Automatic. Now you are at a crossroads. Are you going to do response prevention or are you going to do response a lot? If you do response prevention, it means that you see this as an OCD thought. You choose to see this as an OCD thought. And from that point of view, you refuse reaction. So you're like, okay, this is my usual theme. This is how it usually comes in. Yes, it feels real, scary, disturbing. But wait a minute, I need to be ignoring this. I cannot be trying to figure this out. So you're choosing to prevent your usual response of figuring it out. So that's response prevention. So that's ERP for pure O. So the exposure was automatic or on purpose if you're trying to bring up a thought on purpose. But for pure O, I don't think you need to bring up thoughts on purpose because they're there all the time anyway. So, but the thought came in, you refused reaction versus a thought came in and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go online, figure it out, ask everybody I know. That's not response prevention. That's response a lot. So that's not ERP. That's just exposure. And then let's make my OCD worse. So this includes talking to people, online research, asking ChatGPT, asking Google, trying to piece events together, trying to sort through your feelings. Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? What kind of person are you? All of this is response a lot. It's not response prevention. And with Pure O, you need to do response prevention all day long. So this is not one-off ERP. No matter what your therapist who has no idea about rumination and all of that says, if you have Pure O, I guarantee you that your biggest problem is rumination. Because even with those reactions that I said, right? The research, the online checking, all of this, while you're doing that, you are ruminating. So if you are ruminating most of the time, most of the day about your thought, you are making that thought worse. It's gonna get worse. So you need to make the active choice to do response prevention all the time, all day long. And you're not going to be successful all day long, but this is where tracking and reducing comes in. We're tracking how much active rumination we did, how much we messed up, basically. And tomorrow we're going to mess up a little less than today. We're not saying we're not going to mess up at all, but we're going to do little less and less and less. And I'm telling you, I see this with clients all the time. Okay, they're my clients, so I'm working with them one-on-one. But their recovery is fast. Within a month, they're going from level 8, 9 anxiety to level 1, 0, 2, something like that. And I've showed you tracking of these are my clients, these are actual people. They're recovering, they're doing good and fast. But one-off exposures are not going to cut it. Your little scripting techniques and whatever hierarchies are not going to cut it with Pure O. You're going to be stuck forever if you do it that way because it's simply not enough. It's an all-day job. So anytime you are ruminating, you are doing damage to your recovery. You're choosing not to do response prevention. And your job is to just keep catching it, keep bringing yourself into response prevention. And also, I wanted to, again, remind you, you are building a completely new skill. a skill that you've never had before. So on one side, you should be hard on yourself. You shouldn't be letting it slide like, whoops, ruminated again. Can't do that. But at the same time, I do want you to have some grace and some kindness for yourself when you do mess up, and try to learn from the experience. So let's say you messed up today, went online, Googled, asked for reassurance, all this. Okay, once you start to feel better, once you're a little bit out of it, zoom back out, kind of go over it from a detached perspective and look at it. Why did you make those choices? So not about the thought itself, but just what made me make that wrong choice? What made me choose response a lot versus response prevention? And how can I fix that next time? Those should be the questions that you're asking, not blaming yourself, not sitting there, oh, I'm so bad, I'm never going to recover. Because then you'll just spiral into meta OCD about recovery, right? You don't want to do that, because that's also a type of PRO. We don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to say to yourself, okay, what happened? Why couldn't I have made a better choice? Well, why did I make that choice? And it could be things like I was too stressed, I was too tired, it came out of nowhere. Maybe the trigger was too high and you're just not equipped to deal with that level trigger right now. All kinds of things. But what can I learn from this for next time? And the number one thing you can learn is when I'm in that situation again, I'm going to make sure I'm going to disregard. When I get a similar thought to the one I got last time, I'm going to make sure I disregard. So that's the way to do ERP for PRO in the way that you recover. And just wanted to add this in. If, let's say, part of your PRO is that you are avoiding something, then you can do on-purpose exposures. Again, but on-purpose exposure needs to be with the purpose of disregarding afterwards. So the exposure that you're forcing now, okay, fine. But the response prevention and not ruminating post-fact, that remains the same. That's the rule that stays. So if, let's say, you're avoiding, sure, add on-purpose exposures. But only doing on-purpose exposures for PRO will never get you to full recovery. It's a physical impossibility because most people with PRO ruminate all day long or most of the day when they're in the bad state. And as they get better, it reduces. But it's, yeah. And the OCD morphs. That's the reason why you cannot get away with just exposures for a current theme. Because that OCD is going to want to get fed. And if you're not buying this theme anymore because you've, let's say, did a lot of exposures for your current thoughts, first of all, it can come up with different thoughts for the same theme. But if everything is exhausted completely, it will come up with a new theme. And your anxiety level will be just as high. It won't be less. And usually people, not usually, but I'd say sometimes half and half, maybe people cycle through a few different themes, including the recovery theme. Usually that's the last one that the OCD will throw at people, is the OCD about OCD. So just be mindful of that and do recovery properly. You can do this. You can fully recover. My clients are fully recovering, so you can fully recover. Your brain is capable. I'm telling you, your brain is capable. Are you going to do it or not? I don't know. But your brain is capable. Thank you for listening. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you would like to do private coaching with me, please sign up through youhaveocd.com. I'll see you tomorrow.